Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of FoolCraft. I wish upon a star that it was night time right now, because here in England it is the middle of summer, it is the middle of the day, and it is so unbearably hot that I wish that the rain would come back. The rain that never stops falling on England. It's gone. It's summertime and I'm feeling really worn out. It's actually affecting making videos, and you're probably going to notice it in the way that I'm talking and what's going on, etc. But I thought I'd make you aware. Now, coming back into our base, you'll notice that I've ripped out the wall on this side. That's because I was going to put our server room over here, but then I changed my mind. Oh yes, I did. But over on this side, this layout has changed slightly, just in the ceiling. Extended this into that space. I think it looks a lot nicer like that. And also, if we open up these, you'll see that they've got that bugged out 0 on them. Well, that's a good thing, except for that. Hang on, what, 11? Then it's 0? What's going on there? Doesn't make much sense. Yeah, it turns out, as we learned last episode, that only hoppers could pick up items from these blocks, and then they would leave behind that glitched out pile of neutrons. But actually they collect them, and with this chain of hoppers, they bring them down into the dropper. The importum takes them into the system, and now we're actually collecting some of this stuff. But I've only collected them since I've come back online. There was a stack of these waiting in each of those for me, and so if we go down a level, you'll see that over here we are now up to 20 of those. That's exactly where we were about an hour ago. So these things generate very, very slow. Maybe not an hour, maybe it was more like 40 minutes, I'm not sure. But I've just been playing for quite some time, having some fun, planning ahead. And over here, by the way, we actually have some other things like processing pattern encoder and also some solderers, and this one is full of some disk drives which we're going to be using. I've hinted at us manipulating our storage to get all the items to go back into the system down below. This is something that we're going to have to do every so often, and today we're going to create a server room to help us do that. So the dealio is that we store lots of items in here, and that's a good thing because we're generating loads of things in vast quantities, and all of these will have these void upgrades, and they have a priority to get the item over here. So once this is filled up to the brim, it then destroys the items. It's very nice because then we don't have to worry about our storage getting filled up. But up the top here you can see we are down to 1 disk drive. That is very alarming, and I don't know how that's filled up so much because none of my farms are running. I've been checking the system, but since I was last on, apparently more items are coming into here. So where they're coming from, a little bit of a mystery to me. But what we want to do is basically get some of those items out of there and into the drawers below. For example, the prismarine, 100,000, 102,000, let's try again, and only 1,000 of them are stored down here. The way that we're going to do this is by using, where are they? I should have them in my inventory. Disk manipulators. When we put the disks into here, it's going to take all of the items out of them, and that basically puts them straight back into the same system, but it will prioritize and they will end up down here. So every now and then we have to chuck our disk manipulators, our disks into the disk manipulators. I told you it was hot. I'm struggling to talk. I'm struggling to do the words. Okay, leave me alone. Yeah, we were going to put our server room here, but it just didn't feel right. So I decided at the end of a long corridor, felt like a better place to put it. And check that out. I left the door open. Pretend we never looked at it because the door looks very cool. Let's walk back over here. Check that out, he says. Looking pretty cool, right? We're going to turn these into some steps. I actually think they would probably be better if they were made out of marble. Yes, I'm going to remove those just so I remember. In fact, I've got some marble on me, so we'll have some marble steps that lead up into this room. And I wish that door was free height, but it's not. So we open the room, and this is going to be our server room. And now it's night time, and it's kind of dark to see what's going on here. So my great idea, was that we would have 2 corridors and server racks on either side. But we're going to do it like Iskow did and throw in a bunch of detail on the front of this, including some doors that we can open and close. And I feel like this is way too narrow, and you can see we're really squeezing into a space here. So we're just going to ditch that idea and actually just have one central path and then have these things on either side. Now the theme for this room is going to be dark, and I'm going to introduce probably like a purplish colour which will match this, like a neon purple, and give it a very kind of cyberpunk look, well, without the punkiness. A very cyber look, you know, with dark and neon light colours going into this room. So it's very much going to be like this. I feel like that is too wide for the room that we want, so if we trim off 2 blocks on either side, we'll probably find that that is the width that we're looking for. And yeah, we're going to have our servers on either side, and the servers are basically just these disk drives which I've been soldering up. So yes, that feels just about right. Let's place a few of them in place. They are actually disk manipulators. They will go at the end of the room. And so these will have doors in front of them, and do you know what? Maybe I will push it back a block, but that's why we try, that's why we experiment. And then down at the very end over there, I think that's where our disk manipulators are going to go. I'm starting to grow very curious. These feathers, where are they coming from? I know where they're coming from. We got chickens in our system, laying eggs, giving us clay, giving us other things. There isn't actually a proper place to store them, and I believe if I give myself an open hand, yes, this thing is fully upgraded. So we're going to do some disk manipulation very soon, and that's going to sort out all of those excess items. But the server room, that's what we're focusing on, and I've saved you the trip of going back and forth over and over again, umming and ahhing about decisions and changing my mind. And this is where we're at right now. These lights on the wall, they be temporary. They're probably going to go in the ceiling. And I'm liking this. Let's check out the door, okay? So we got some clear grey glass in the middle, and then on the outside that is concrete, the trodden brick variety. So there's a little bit of texture there. When we click on this, just press 0. I'm not really fussed about pressing a bunch of numbers. I just love the keep code thing. And then you can access the disk drives. I've gone and installed some over here. As you can see, they're almost full up. That one's fluctuating a little bit. And then I put some fan blocks on top of it. This is much like Iskall did over here. And now we're going to get into some chisel and bits. First thing I want to do, though, is just put these steps on the outside. I want to make sure that this looks good. Yeah, that looks reasonable to me. I might change the material. I wish I could make that thing auto-close. You can't put it in the door modifier block, which I had lying around over there, which kind of sucks because I'd like to change the way this thing works. But it's pretty cool, pretty cool. And yeah, so anyway, the floor is a little bit plain. There is a line over here, and I think all of that's going to stay the same. What we're going to do now is start to change the size of this block. Look at that. We can push it back a little bit, and that means the fan can be behind what we're going to put in front. And that is going to be cables and neon lights. So I'm going to build a frame in front of this as well. In fact, I can start doing it right now because it requires this block here. I want it to match the width of that. I find the best way to do that is to go with the connected pane, slap it all the way down, and oh, is it actually, it's 3 blocks or 3 pixels wide, isn't it? There we go. So now we've got that, and what we want to do is open up a hole inside of it, and then through that we'll be able to see the fan and a lot of other things going on as well. So that's going to be, whoopsie. Let's just undo that. I'll figure out the dimensions of that later. That's going to be like the front of what we're doing here, and then on the inside we want to be able to see some cables go through and some lights. As I look at it now though, let's use the design and copy this. It kind of looks like it takes up too much space. In fact, before we copy it, let's get the width adjusted correctly. If I do connected pane on the inside, that still actually doesn't look like it's lined up. Let's take 2 off of each side. That means 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom as well. And I think the bottom can go entirely just so it matches the door like that. Yes, that'll work very good. So now what we do is we copy this, we place it on the side over and over again, and we marvel at how wonderful that looks. I think that's going to work just like so. Then what we want to see when we look into this space is like a grill in front of the fan, and then down here at the bottom we want to see some cables going from one side to the other, and then maybe at the top is where the light goes. I just walked into the room a moment ago and I said, oh yes, that is looking superb. Let's do it. Let's hit the door and kablam. Oh, it's looking nice in here, right? It's certainly not finished. Hey, what happened there? I know what happened there. I'll fix that. Don't you worry about it. Hey, that reminds me of something I'm going to mention. There's glowstone hidden behind these blocks so they emit the full amount of light, because without extra glowstone inside the block itself, these panels that we got here don't actually emit that much light. Behind a sliver of glass is the glowing flat color block from that mod, if you know what I'm on about, and that's our little neon purple tint, and I love it in here. It's looking good. I feel like this ceiling though might have to change, and on the ceiling I wanted to put the lights, not on the walls. However, they kind of look fitting on the walls as well. Let's just put them there. I think we can get away with both. And anyway, there's one more job to do here, and that is to work on this fan bit. That is actually the same as the block of fan right there. We don't want people being able to access the computers without the key code, so we need to cover up that little bit right there. And of course, anyone can come in here and just break the blocks, but it's all about just having a little bit of seamlessness, I think might be the word. I want to go with that block right there. That's going to be our block at the bottom to cover up the base that I just talked about. It's still very hot. It's still very hot. Please forgive me. That's going to work just fine. Now, on top of that, what we want to build is like a little rack that's going to hold up the cables that we run through it. And here's where things are going to get a little bit tricky. However, when it comes to placing the cables, they're just going to be flat. What did I just do? I needed to place that there. And we can take a colored block like this because we're going to use some more flat colors. And we can use the line tool and we can put them going through like this. So we're going to have a group of cables and then something that holds them together. Now that's pretty weird looking, but it's the wrong sort of colour for a cable, right? And once we've got that in place, the rest of it should be a little easier. So we got 5 different colours. 2 of them are very similar. The reason I decided to go with all kind of bluish stuff, that one's a little bit more purpley. I felt like a lot of colours in here might just be a bit noisy. And also, you're not really going to see... I'm not sure how you're going to see the cables. Like, how they're going to look from this angle. We're seeing them from a different angle over here. But anyway, those 5 mean that they're probably going to come out a little bit. And it's going to look like they actually go through the sides of those blocks. As I say it out loud, that does not sound right. I tell you what, we'll trim it down to 4. It'll make our lives easier in many ways. If we select the single bit right here and go 1, 2, 3... 4, and then, well, actually, let's undo all of that. I wanted the gap to be at the back. 3, 4, bit at the back, bam, like that. So now what we want to do is put the cables going through. I've missed a 3rd block on both sides at the bottom there. There we go, leaving a little gap. Let's consume the whole of this block. We're going to skip one of those 2 in the middle, I think. Same material, very good. And then we use the line tool, and now we use this over here. And how difficult is it to see? I can't see anything. It's because it's trying to do it on the same block. So what happens when I right click? It goes back the other way. Of course it would. Move up a little bit. Perfection. So here's the next 3 colours. And with a lot of concentration, it's kind of easy. Wow, that is a little cable rack. Look at that. That's going to look great when we copy it from one to the next. So what I want to do is, first of all, clear this. Then we're going to click on that, and I think if we leave it on the current, oops, I think it was on impose. If we leave it on that one, look at that. Oh, it's looking very, very cool. Oh, wow, that looks seriously nice. I am surprised at how cool that looks. From down here, it's not terribly obvious, but as soon as you go up and look, that's really good. I just wish the floor let you see it a little bit more. Oh, I like that ever so much. It's making me think about the ceiling now. So I've kind of rearranged the ceiling a little bit. So we've got these blocks and the lights are in different places. But I think it would look really cool if we actually had a stretch of those cables sort of going from one side of the room to the other. Not sure if it would look out of place though. Anyway, we need to go and put this on the other side as well. Oh, that's looking superb. That really is. This is the place we can put it, and anywhere else I think would just be too much of a thing, right? Also, we're going to have this thing come out of the ceiling. We've got the little frame to match these ones. I feel like this texture here is going to have to change, and we're going to have to come up with some sort of interface for that down there. I'm not going to do that today. It's driving me mad, this heat, and I've done tons of detail work. I've really been enjoying it, and just being in this room feels great. But the rest of the details can come with time, I think. So the challenge now is to do 2 things. One of them is to put our colours into this and hopefully not mess up the order of them. The other thing is to copy the design. We've done this lots of times, but I think we might run into a little bit of a problem. What we can do is remove the same material. Hi, there you are. And I'll fill in that gap in a moment. Very cool. Thing is though, our cables at the bottom are going to turn and go into a little bit of a grill right there. So it's not going to stay all the same way. Now, if I hold down shift, it kind of looks like these cables are in the right order. And I guess what side they appear on doesn't matter too much as well. So we're going to grab the line tool. Oh, look at that, perfect. Okay, oh, I wish you could move slow. I wish there was a slow mode for this. Look at that. Getting good at this. Oh, excellent, first time. Well, let's go and play. Oh, this is going to look so good, isn't it? It's going to look amazing. You know it. And there. It is looking really cool. It's just got to turn when it gets to the bottom. Now, unfortunately, I can't quite get behind where we're looking. But if I remove those and stand here, then we are now able to use the line tool. Oh, that's not good. Maybe we don't use the line tool. Maybe now we go to the bit tool. And what brightness are we looking at? This one. Just bring them back in like that. That is extremely cool. Oh no, but I don't want to do that at the bottom because then it's going to look really odd. Okay, we need to scale it back a little bit and there needs to be a panel here. I'm going to need to knock this up by 1 as well. So if I do that there and then look on the underside, break that, they've both been shifted up by 1. You can see this region that I've drawn back here is just not quite the right size. I think I've found the detail that we need now. If we build another one of these panels and fill it all the way across. I wish there was an easier way to do that. There is. If I use draw region, I can simply go... Oh, except that it's too high. So there's our panel across the top, and now I'm just removing a grid like that. And if we use the same black box, then it's going to be a little bit uniform, and I reckon we can put that in on the sides there. I said I wouldn't do the detail, but now that I've got the inspiration for it, I really want to go ahead with this. And I've got to admit, like, I struggle with this chisel and bit stuff, but when a good idea jumps at you like this one has, it feels really great to put in like the micro detail and just have that level of detail inside a project. That is superb. That totally looks like it belongs there. We need to find the right brick. There it is. Put that in up the top here and bam. Look at that. Looking superb. It's looking great in there, and I want to tidy up my inventory. I've just had a thought though. We always end up with these chisel bit bags for particular projects, and I generally just clear them, but they're so cheap to make. When it comes to working on that project again, it will probably be handy to have some bits if you want to edit something. Whoops. And it got me thinking maybe you could leave like an item frame somewhere with this inside, or have a chest stored for it. But of course, you could just rename your chisel bags to the project they match. So, server room, and then I'll know when I look at that, when I search for it. That being said, can I still search chisel bag in here and see it? Chisel bag, no. So now I'd have to search server room. Well, it's an interesting idea for some of you playing with this pack as well. It's something to think about. What we're going to do right now though is start the disk manipulation process. So I'm going to grab tons and tons of disks from over here, and we're going to manipulate them over in the storage room, which means to bring them back into the system, I think. And I just realized that I haven't even hooked this thing up yet. Okay, with that sorted out, these have turned on. We're going to put them in here and it's going to slowly remove the items. One problem we have with this though is that if they can't go into the storage doors, they're not going to have anywhere else to go at the moment. So we do need to make some fresh storage disks as well. But let's get 3 of these going for now. It can only run 1 at a time, and you can see it's actually very slow as well, which is a little bit disappointing, but we can put some speed upgrades in there. So all the disk drives, the old disk drives that is, are empty. Well, not the disks themselves, just the disk drive holder. Anyway, as we go into the room, you'll see that I've jumbled these all about, which looks really cool. Like, check that out, the drives are all in different places. That looks superb. Thing is, it's going to make tracking which ones we've filled up and replaced a little bit tricky. So what I'll probably end up doing when I put these ones back in is just working through these one at a time, like this set, then that one, etc. And I'll have to leave a note somewhere of what I've done, because we've got to run through all of these disks in order to get rid of all the items that could be in drawers, and they could be anywhere on these disks, and you can't just fish out the ones you want. You've got to go through all the disks each time. Oh, interesting, that one opens in a different direction. I wasn't aware. They've all been placed from standing in the same direction, which was on top of the disk drive drawers looking down, so it's probably too late to fix that. I'm going to guess maybe the same thing happens over on this side. Yeah, look at that. And it's probably because the two on the end connect together. But that doesn't bother me in the slightest, because this room is looking amazing, and that's partially done now. But yeah, the whole project is just going so well. Ah, one of the discs we're clearing has sponges on it. You can see the process is working. There might be something else here as well that's doing that. Hey, we're up to 21 of those ingots. But I don't know what else. Sponge is the one that caught my eye. Oh, and feathers too. Look, that one's shooting up. We're done with this server room for now. After I last recorded, I actually logged off for the day, so it's a brand new day, and I didn't think of keeping the game open so I could just drop by and do this every so often. So we're going to come up with a system where we put all the empty ones on this side over here, and then slowly take these out one by one and start to sort them out. So here's 6 discs to go into these parts, and I'll keep coming back here and doing that slowly. That's going to be a bit of a headache because I know I'm going to forget, and it's going to be a very slow process. But anyway, moving on, we made a Fool's controller. Do you remember that? It gives us free RF power, and I was a little bit hesitant about using this just because it would take away from the little project we got down at the bottom of the base. Let's actually go down there so I can point at it for you. That little setup in there, I slowly want to expand that room and have loads of power being distributed over the base. This would actually take away from doing that. So what we're going to do is use it on a project that I kind of forgotten about a little bit. We're eventually going to move this thing, but for now we're going to go over there and we're going to jump down to the sand chest. So I want to move this room and put it in line with our other rooms in our base. And what we're going to do is attach something here. Have I? No, I picked up that. I've got everything that I need. I think there's actually... Ah, yes, look at this. There's an interface on the top. So if we attach an external storage to it and a grid, the only thing it needs now is a controller, and then we can see how much sand and sandstone and other stuff we collected so far. This is from the entire Wastelands project, peeps, so get ready for it. There it is. There's a few items that shouldn't actually be in there because we only wanted to collect these items right here, but that's how much we've collected in total. That's pretty fascinating, and this must have been from where we demolished those temples, and then these other bits I'm going to take out of here basically, is we're only going to keep those items. That is seriously cool to see, but I do want to make this like a little room, and I've got a favor or like a question to ask. If you know how to do this, is there a way that we can take this number and put it onto a screen so we could have like a little screen on the wall saying how much sand and sandstone we've collected? That would be superb, but I wanted to put that there, and it runs for free because of the Fool's controller. And that, by the way, is not the only Fool's item that is available in this game. Let's pop over to our base again because I love standing in this gorgeous area. And if we go down here and type Fool, and then put the S on the end, Fools, like that, you can see that there are some other foolish items right here. One of those is a Fool's capacitor bank, and I believe this has unlimited input and output. So if you remember the Rainbow Room project, we just hop down over here. We're going to use loads of these, which I thought would be a really cool challenge to make a very large amount of vibrant capacitor banks. But this thing over here could actually replace it. Thing is, look at that crafting recipe. Goodness me, is that expensive. There is... Oh, and you require the Fool's power cell. Well, there's a lot of expensive stuff in here, that's for sure. But it also requires this, which is also really expensive. This is some crazy next level crafting right here. It's probably out of my reach, but we have started to collect the neutrinium, which is cool. And yeah, just look at some of these other ones right here. The Fool's Mill, I am very interested in this one because I don't want to create a big setup full of water and those water mills. We could make one of these and it will give us infinite, I believe, or a very high amount. There's also the Fool's Drum for storing liquid. This, I don't know what it does, and that, what I want to know about this Fool's modifier is, can we put loads of these on a Tinker's tool, like 10, 20, because that would be kind of amazing. You could make some seriously OP gear with that. I also said earlier it's been a day, and wow, 120. Okay, so we can expect probably around 90 ingots every 24 hours? That's really cool. That's nice to know. Looking over those recipes, I was thinking, actually, we're probably going to need a ton more than that. So I've decided to double up on the amount of these, as you can see. And we may need more than this in total. Also, I ran out of diamonds, so I had to fire up the quarry again, because I left that thing not running because actually our ore processing had broken. It turns out with the update what I needed to do was go in here and simply add the modules in again so that those things would function properly. Although you don't need a module when you've got a hopper pointing into the conveyor belt, which is kind of interesting. Enough about that though, let's go back up top. So what I might do is throw in another row of these all the way at the top there, or maybe even have some more hidden away in the future. But we've got that in place for now, so we're going to generate more of those. And then I was thinking, right, what we've got to do is tidy up this mess. It's been here for too long. I've got some ideas for what I'm going to do with some of these blocks, but what I want to do is give EnderIO a little bit of a home. And I think this wall here is the place to put it, but it's not wide enough. And then I went and looked around here and I thought, well, this isn't really the right sort of space either. And I think actually having this little indent here isn't particularly helpful. So what we're going to do is rip all of this out and extend it. Oh yeah, and we got our blitz back there as well. This guy doesn't make sound anymore. I asked the devs, but I didn't get an answer yet. Or maybe I did. I'll have to go check the chat again. But yeah, he doesn't make any sound, which is really sad because we wanted all of those cryptic noises in our base. But anyway, we're going to rip out this corner. We're going to extend it across and then put our EnderIO machines in this space. And it's a good thing I've noticed the blitz because he might get in the way. Also, he might not stay if he's not going to make any sound anymore. I've just discovered a bit of a flaw with this, and what I find interesting is that this is actually supposed to be on, because I came down here and I could have swore I turned it on, and now it might be not so clear as to what the problem is. As you can see, there's another one there called EnderIO. So there is a buffer back here, and that is the thing that transmits the power, and this thing was actually continuing to send even though I turned that off at the front. But anyway, we've added another one of those over there, and what we're going to do is hook it up to our EnderIO machines, which are going to have their own little power port right here. Now what I think we should have is another little jump up to the next floor, right, because we're going to have a floor up here eventually. So I'm just going to slap that there for now, and that'll help me, you know, jump outside and get to this outside area. The blitz is going to go. For now, we can always get another one. I've got loads of name tags. See you later, buddy. Unfortunately, you don't make sounds anymore. So we're going to put some cables like that to power all the machines. We've got a capacitor bank as an intermediary between this advanced power cell. And now all I've got to do is put that there and then set this thing to out. I just put it in the wrong slot again. I've literally done that twice in a row now, which is just infuriating. That is supposed to go there, so it's linked to the other one, and it should be getting some juice going through to here. Now, these ones have a little bit of a gap. If we look at them from the front, you can kind of see through it a little bit. So I made some conduit facades with some brownstone on it, and if we just slap those here, that gap should disappear. It's not quite the same color as this block, but it's close enough. And that's looking pretty cool. Alright, so we've got all these machines in place, and that's the other thing we need. We need to upgrade them all with capacitors. Whew, I think I'm done. Modding Minecraft is slow, people. We've still got all of this junk to sort out and find a home, and I'm glad I added this little thing. Makes it easy to jump around. So over on this side now, we're going to have our network transmitters accessible so we can get to those network cards. We actually only have 3 of these. These are kind of not doing anything, and our refined storage controller is now on the opposite side, and it's got a switch as well, which I might hook up with some redstone actually. By the way, these textures are completely glitched out, which looks ridiculous. Also, that doesn't connect to that side there. Can I force that? Yes, I can force it by clicking on it with the wrench. The other place I want it to connect to is that block there. Then on the inside, we're going to add a lever, and that's the way we can turn the system off if ever we need to, which happens from time to time when I forget about storing items in the area down below. So that is going to be it from me this episode. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like on the video. I'm going to come over here and sort out all of these discs. But yes, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.